Now we start with the topic of hypertension. Myself, Dr. Vivek Vaksore, Department of Community Medicine. Last time we have completed the topic obesity. Now this is a continuation of the topic, that is hypertension. It's a continuation of our series currently going on non-communicable diseases. Previously we have seen obesity, which can be seen as a precursor to most of the non-communicable diseases. Today we will see hypertension. Now hope you can distinction between the two terms blood pressure and hypertension. Blood pressure is what? It's a lateral pressure exerted by blood flowing through the arteries. So levels of blood pressure, if it is higher than expected range or normal range, then it is called as hypertension. So many people say that मुझे बीपी की बीमारी है. BP is not a बीमारी. BP is present, it's a blood pressure, it is a sign of the person who is alive. So every alive person will have some blood pressure, remember this. So don't talk like layman, especially in exams and while presenting your case. So when discussing this problem, it is nowadays seen that this is one of the most common disease having amongst the adults, very common. And the secondary hypertension, which was very rare under 40, now it is very commonly seen even in adolescents, and even it is in commonly present in young people also. So worldwide it is seen that more than 7.5 million deaths are due to raised blood pressure. It's not directly due to raised blood pressure, it's due to the complications of its raised blood pressure. If you consider the total morbidity, then it is 57 million DALYs. DALYs means disability adjusted life years. This much 57 million life years are wasted or have to be adjusted for the disability, or modifications are required due to hypertension. So this is a huge number. Overall prevalence of raised blood pressure is 40% in 2008. Currently we are in 2020. Surely I can assure that this percentage has risen. The NCDs have taken a center stage in whole healthcare currently. Even though due to COVID-19 we are facing communicable, which is a communicable disease, but overall if you see that NCDs are higher, or the uh, pie of deaths and morbidity is very high due to NCDs. Number of people with uncontrolled hypertension was nearly 1 billion in 2008. Again, this is a very old figure. Now, currently, surely the figures have risen. Whenever you feel free, if you want to see any detail, you can pause the slide. Okay, we'll continue. This is overall distribution of prevalence of hypertension. India is in the orange zone, that is in the zone between mean systolic blood pressure of the people is between 125 to 130. It's the most prevalent chronic disease in India. More than diabetes, hypertension's prevalence is higher. 20 to 40% of urban adults. These adults generally are taken above 18. Okay, so from above 18, it's 20 to 40% urban adults and 12 to 17% of rural adults. This is the huge figure. Okay, so what is the definition? The systemic arterial hypertension is defined as a state of chronically elevated arterial blood pressure as compared to what is normal. Okay, this is just definition, simple easy. मतलब क्या है, जिसका भी ब्लड प्रेशर एलिवेट होता है, बढ़ता है, अगर वो नॉर्मल लेवल के आगे जाएगा तो दैट वी कॉल एज there are multiple classifications. First is on the basis of level of. So this is a normal chart. We see normal, pre-hypertension, hypertension grade 1, 2 and 3, as far as you're concerned. Previously it was thought that okay, 120 to 130 should be considered normal, we can consider normal and everything, but nowadays it is seen that even slight elevation also leads to further complications in future. That is why if the systolic blood pressure is more than 120, anywhere more than 120 regularly, and diastolic blood pressure is anywhere more than 80, then surely the person is in pre-hypertension phase, and we have to start our preventive measures, or even if required, some therapeutic measures. Now, according to cause, most of the hypertension, that is more than 90% of the cases, are essential hypertension. Understand the term essential here. Essential means it is not that person must have that hypertension to survive. Essential means it is a primary hypertension. We cannot find an exact cause, or we cannot pin an exact cause. That is where we call essential hypertension. And few percentage of the cases, nearly 5 to 10%, are secondary. Common causes of secondary hypertension. So the list is given here. The most common cause is secondary to renal diseases, especially renal vascular hypertension, or then followed by coarctation of aorta. Okay. Physiologically, hypertension secondary to pregnancy is very common. If there are no pathological changes along with it, then most likely after delivery the hypertension subsides and person can live a normal life. Okay. Now, extent of organ damage. This is not a best sort of a classification, but here we can see actually how much the disease has progressed and how much complication it has produced. So, what are the targeted organs? The most common targeted organ, of course, will be heart. In heart, we can see ISD, left ventricular hypertrophy, LVH means. Chronically, if there is persistence raised blood pressure beyond the normal limit, then slowly we can see left ventricular hypertrophy. This is a very important sign. Always remember this. Then brain strokes is common, chronic renal failure is common. Okay. Now, hypertension, as I say, it is a disease, and most important, it is a precursor of multiple diseases or complications. It's a silent killer. Many times a person is hypertensive and he does not know there is any problem with his blood pressure. Slowly, some signs and symptoms occur which are very non-specific, like headache, nausea, breathlessness, fatigability. These are very basic complications seen in most of the diseases. Okay, so slowly it creeps up, and later it affects most of the organs in the body and cause severe complications. So very rarely hypertension kills rapidly. It slowly suffocates a person, as in we can say a python. Okay. The rule of Hall's. This figure you must have seen. It is commonly asked question in Viva. When if your Viva is going okay, so then most of the time examiner try to ask you simple question: what is the rule of Hall's in hypertension? Please understand this. यहाँ पे we does not start with 50% people being hypertensive. Remember this. So you can say that a whole community, in it normotensive people and some or many of them having hypertension. You cannot say majority of them. Majority means 50% above or even 50%. We can't say that 50% people have having hypertension or develop hypertension. So there is a group of normotensive person and out of that hypertensive person. Now your rule of Hall starts to action. So there is a group of hypertensive subjects. Out of that, 50% are only diagnosed, or half the people of them are diagnosed. Out of those diagnosed, only half the people are treated. Out of those who are treated, only half are adequately treated. So this is a rule of halves. So you can say inadequately treated, double the people are diagnosed and treated or treated for hypertension. उसमें से double the people are uh, actually aware of their hypertension. Okay, and उसमें से double people are actually hypertensive subjects, but उससे double is not whole community, remember this. Okay, a part of community has hypertension, वहां से आपका half का rule start करो. Okay, now the factors contributing to the development of hypertension. So before we start this, abhi se right from the introduction of non-communicable diseases to the obesity, we have seen there are two types of factors in most of the non-communicable diseases. These are modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors. This is very important. Always remember this. You can use this classification of the risk factors for each and every non-communicable diseases. Some are modifiable and some are non-modifiable. This is a very important figure. This you can use for almost most of the non-communicable diseases. It's a flow chart, easy flow chart. So what is the basic social determinants of the development of non-communicable diseases? So globalization, urbanization, aging, income, education, housing. So it's a total whole package of current lifestyle. This can be caused as a lifestyle. This lifestyle is very hectic. We are always in hurry, and we are always so stressed about many things, many materialistic things. So all this results in what? Unhealthy diet. Currently we need fast, energy dense food. We have a habit of eating that, so that is a very unhealthy diet. Similarly, use of alcohol, use of tobacco, and the current global phenomena, that is physical inactivity. Most of the people spending most time before their computers and mobiles, so that leads to severe physical inactivity. All these things in a single or individually can lead to many complications, but now we can easily say that most people are suffering from multiple of these things. So अकेला ही काफी है, बट हम तो सबको साथ लेके चलते हैं. So that results in metabolic disorders. What are metabolic disorders which are seen? Raised blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, and dyslipidemia. Okay, and furthermore, these are also diseases, and these are also the precursor to multiple complications. These complications are ischemic heart diseases, stroke, heart failure, or renal disorders. Okay, the risk factors, these can be divided as non-modifiable, modifiable. I won't go in detail. It has been covered in introduction and many things. Age, gender, genetic factors, and ethnicity are most common. Not age. So blood pressure goes on increasing with age, and after certain level, that is after 50 to 60, specifically 60, the diastolic blood pressure dips or goes on decreasing. That is why there is a again increasing difference in systolic and diastolic blood pressure, that is known as pulse pressure. So pulse pressure goes on increasing, that again leads to various complications as stroke. Gender, female in reproductive age group are generally well protected from the development of these disorders, but after that the risk becomes equal to the males. So gradually it becomes equal, of course. Hereditary, this disease is a family type of disorder. It is very commonly seen if mother and father both or individually are hypertensive. So the familial nature or hereditary nature is being studied in detail. It is a genetic factor. No single gene is isolated as hypertension causing, but I think it is a polygenic or multiple genic factor. Okay, condition. In ethnicity also, you can see that Southeast Asian and African Americans or blacks, these are more prone to development of hypertension than Caucasians. Now this is the most important part, modifiable risk factors. So if you can see the first three, these are related to diet. After that, overweight, lack of physical activity, addictions like alcohol and tobacco, both are equally important, or even tobacco is more important, I can say. Stress, then other things. We'll discuss it. Salt, excessive salt intake is a single most important risk factor of development of hypertension. It is recommended to not to eat more than 2 grams of sodium per day for one adult. Indians consume much higher than that. nearly 3.7. Why? Because Indian food, chapati, bhaji, rice, dal, all contain salt. There is no salt free option as such. And on top of that, we like to eat our papads, pickles and other things, which again leads to hypertension due to increased excessive intake of salt. Now, if we decrease the salt intake by 100 millimole per day for many years, these are the risk which can be lowered, or risk can be lowered by this much percentage. It is given, you can pause and read. So it is that helpful. So whatever stage of your life, whatever complications of your disorders, first thing has to be done is salt restricted diet. That is very important for hypertension. Dietary potassium, you can see, is a protective phenomena. So higher the intake of dietary potassium, better is for the reduction or prevention of the hypertension. And dietary potassium is more common in the fruits and vegetables. So saturated fats, trans fats, dietary cholesterol, these are harmful, while fiber, antioxidants, vitamins are helpful. So it is always a balance that has to be obtained by a nutritionist. Overweight. Last time we have seen in detail what is overweight, what are this complication and everything. Reducing the weight by few kgs can lead to reduction in the blood pressure, systolic and diastolic blood pressure. That much that is helpful. As last time we discussed, central obesity, which can be identified by waist to hip ratio, is an independent risk factor besides the overweight or BMI. Lack of physical activity, this is a modern bane nowadays. We are forced to sit, or we like to sit in front of our mobiles, tabs and laptops, and this has resulted in very low physical activity and lower physical fitness, and that results in the metabolic disorder like diabetes and hypertension. Alcohol consumption and tobacco consumption both are individually and combined together are potent risk factors for development of hypertension. Stress is also equivalent. It has been seen through many studies. Higher the stress level, more the chances of development of hypertension. Now, it is oddly seen that premature babies, preterm babies, or those people's malnourished babies, these tend to become overweight, obese, and hypertension and diabetic in the future. So early childhood experiences are very important, and this is why there is a system as tracking of blood pressure. So it is seen that a child who has higher blood pressure as compared to its peer is at risk of developing hypertension when the child grows old. That is why the tracking is very important of the body weight, blood pressure, blood glucose, cholesterol, everything of the child along with the blood pressure. Other factors like air pollution, noise pollution, water pollution, all these contribute. Socioeconomic status, previously it was developed, it was believed that this is a disease of higher socioeconomic class, but now it is seen that it's more common among the lower socioeconomic status. So currently India is in pincer moves. If you see the Western countries, here it is reverse. Those countries like Switzerland, Sweden, and Finland, in these countries, the lower socioeconomic status people are more affected. In countries like India, it's a pincer move. Okay. Now, prevention and control of hypertension. This is very important. For every prevention and control long question, you have to write primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. So this is common. This will come as common in all the questions answers. Primary prevention may there is always population strategy and at risk strategy. Population strategy is for the general public, so that is why mass approach is there. While high risk high risk strategy is for the isolating or removing the very high risk people from the community and then treating them. Now mass approach में क्या आएगा? We have to make people aware about what is hypertension, what are its level, what are its complications, so what can be done to prevent them. So that is why television is one of the important mass media. Similarly, newspapers and other things. So there are multiple ads there, days are celebrated. So all these things help. High risk means what? There are some risk factors, which are presence of hypertension in their family, overweight,
low physical activity, poor diet, all these things comes into the mind. And if if we see that person is associated with one or more of these things, then that person is considered as a high risk individual. Okay. Now, secondary prevention. It is a mass screening. Secondary prevention means early detection and disability limitation. So mass screening is a very useful, especially in the hypertension. Then there is a selective screening. Again, those who are at risk, उनको screen करो, उनका blood pressure regularly follow करो. So that is a screening, selective screening, mass screening, selective screening. Third is screening. What means what? अगर किसी भी चीज के लिए one person comes to doctor, then doctor has to take his hypertension. So even if that person comes for common cold and everything, then also the doctor has to take that hypertension. That is known as. And tertiary prevention is limitation of development of complications. So यहाँ पे follow up of the patient, to advise them continuous treatment, even them prescribing continuous treatment. And the most important thing, reinforce the patient about what is the importance of the treatment. This treatment has to be taken lifelong. It can be stopped. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be modified on yourself. These things you have to educate. Eat lots and lots of whole vegetable, grains, fruits, and dairy fats. Calcium, potassium, magnesium should be adequate. However, sweets, easily available, easily accessible carbohydrates, red meat should be lower inside or reduced consumption. Similarly, potassium, it should be increased. Magnesium, calcium, all these things increase because it is a very important. Okay, this is a pattern. So it can be treated by, first is active lifestyle, physically active, and second most important part is diet. Now there is a chart developed by International Society of Hypertension along with WHO. It is a risk prediction chart. So this chart gives overall what is the risk of person of developing ischemic heart disease or similar major complications. So it considers gender, it considers age, it's considered whether the person is smoker or non-smoker. It considers the blood pressure, current system, blood pressure and blood cholesterol level. All these things are there, and then person has to mark his own position on the chart. So these are the charts. This can come as a spotter. These are the chart for the diabetes mellitus. Now, one important program, National Program for Prevention of Control of Cancer, Diabetes, Cardiovascular Disorders, and Stroke. So, a common program for most of the non-communicable diseases. So, objective is the health promotion through behavioral change, communication, opportunistic screening, reducing the basic main objective is reducing the NCD morbidity and mortality. Okay. Now these are the strategies used. So the services provided whenever you are answering the NCD questions and a long question regarding NCD, or you are answering regarding the national program regarding NCDs. Then if you draw this like kind of figure and explain it like this, what you have written in the each part, then it makes a good impression. It is easy to get marks. Understand? So services at subcenter are health promotion, opportunity screening, and referral. While at PSC level, it is NCD and CD clinic. Then again same things goes common, minor labs facilities, okay. And even CSCs are depots for drugs, so even if they not prescribe, they will give drug for or dispense drug for 30 days. Then these are the functions of district health level and tertiary care facilities. So just listing what we discussed, you can pause. So basic function is concentrated efforts on removal or reducing the burden of non-communicable disorders in the human being. That is the function of NCD clinic. So try to keep this as brief as possible. If we have gone to regular speed, then this lecture has been more than 1.5 hours. But still, this is a very important part. Hypertension. Don't mistake the what is pre-hypertension, what is grade 1 hypertension 2 and 3. Few other things have been also discussed. It can come as a long question or short note, and as a case in Vivas, this is a very patent or very interesting topic for the examiners. So best luck.